So then comes editing. After every shoot, I would upload the footage onto my computer, and I just would look over it, and I skimmed through them. So I was kind of like, oh, this could work. I was kind of like iffy about the footage, but like I said, I didn't really go through all the footage, so I always thought there was going to be like, that shot. So I looked at all the footage after we wrapped, and I remember that was like early December, maybe end of November, and I think back then it was a really like a huge bummer moment for me, because I remember looking through the footage and I was like, I don't know if I like this part. Like, I don't know what happened with the audio. There's not ample lighting. I always sort of wanted like better shots with a majority of the shots that I had. So after having that sort of, doubts about the film, I did make a rough cut. I made one, and it was done in early December, and after that, like, I watched the whole thing, and I was still really iffy about it, and I was like, I've sort of overhyped this project, I made a Tumblr for it, and I don't really want anyone to watch it. So I tucked away the project for a while, and, then school sort of picked up, and I had a lot of things to do. In February or so, I was thinking about releasing Imaginary, because, I didn't feel that it was fair for the people that were involved who put a lot of time into it and then not release it. It's because I was self-conscious about it. So by then I was like, okay, I'll release it. I'll release it. I'll openly admit that I don't necessarily think it's like my prized possession, but I'll release it because, it's not fair to anyone else. And maybe it would just be better if I released it. But before I had to release it, like I said, I did make a rough cut, but I didn't receive the score for the final scene of Imaginary. So I sort of waited around more, and the person who was going to do the score, my friend Kate Markle, she is actually going to university this year, so she was really wrapped up with school, and she was trying to apply to school, and she was just super busy, and I've always felt terrible. That was another reason why trying to get friends to sort of do favors for you is sort of stressful. At least for me it was, because I didn't want to pressure her, but I did want to have the project done. So I remember she did give me a few samples, but I wasn't completely satisfied with that. But not to say they were bad, I loved them. It was just not something that I saw that fit the last scene. I waited and waited and waited, and I guess I eventually decided to I sort of just gave up on that, and so I tucked Imaginary away for a while again, and things really didn't start picking up until the end of June and early July. During that time, I was actually working on a feature film. I met a lot of great people, and I think I was just on set a lot for the beginning of this month and the end of June, and just even throughout the entire year I was sort of on set, and I was really motivated to create some art, and I was like, why don't I just finish Imaginary? Why don't I take another look? And so I looked at what I had at the end of July, early August, and I saw it, and the more I watched it, the more I was sort of like, okay, you know what, this could work. This isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then there's this one scene that I completely recut. I watched the whole thing again, and I was, I slowly started touching up little parts, and I was just like, I really liked it more and more, and started growing more satisfied with the project. So I decided to just kick the project into full gear. And so the past 2 or 3 weeks, I have been just doing the sound design. One of the reasons why I was kind of bummed out about the footage back in October and November is because of the audio. One mistake that most people make when they make their first film, and much like I did, was I didn't really understand how important audio was. Back at the end of June and early July, I decided to just sort of have another crash course in terms of post-audio information. And like I said, when I was working on set of this feature film, I was luckily enough to meet this audio guy who I became pretty good friends with, and he sort of really made me pay attention to audio and sort of motivate me to go in an audio route and really research it. So what I did is that I went on forums and I read a lot of stuff about it, and I tried to apply it to the film, and I would spend like 3 or 4 hours every day just trying to like fix it up and whatnot until I was kind of satisfied with it. I don't think even now the audio is absolutely amazing, but I think I try to clean up as much best as I could, and I do really hear a difference within it. But yeah, so one thing I would like to suggest for if you really want to make a short film is that you should really have a good audio person on board, or you can do your own sort of research on audio and sort of work from there. That's what I've been working on for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and after that I was working on color grading. Color grading took surprisingly long. I had sort of like pre-made stuff that I had from a while ago, back in October, November, or November, December rather, and I used that, but then I had to create extra ones. I wanted to create something in Magic Bullet Looks, which is like a really heavy-duty program for Sony Vegas, and I guess I didn't have enough memory, or my computer wasn't strong enough to do it, but I created a look that I really liked within Magic Bullet Looks. So I would export the graded version of the film into parts, and I would piece it together in another timeline, and I was just running through tons and tons of problems. Like I would export something, and then for some reason some of the audio would be lost, or I would export something and then all of a sudden my color grading would be gone, and it just didn't make sense. It was very weird. So I had to go on, like I said, going on forums, trying to find information about what was going on with my Vegas. So I figured it out, and like I said, it's exporting now, so everything's good. And yeah, so that is just a brief overview of what happened with Imaginary and why it took so long.